everybody. Welcome into First Take. Molly Karam here solo in Bristol. Max and Stephen A. are on the road. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing? How's everything?
Good morning.
Excellent.
Hey, Molly, you check out the new crew cut by Max Kellerman?
I like it.
You know, first of all, he looks good. There's no denying that. But I must confess to you, Molly,
Yeah.
I think you're missing something here that Max is trying to do. I think the way that his hair was, you know, a little scraggly at times and the grayness was kicking in. I think somebody along the line told Max that he was looking like he was approaching 50. He got a bit nervous and said, I want to remind y'all I'm closer to 40, and that's what this is about.
He's a baby-faced assassin
That's just me speculating.
First of all, I am approaching 50. I'm 44 years old. I have no problem with that. Second of all,
50.
I like the gray. How do you like that? Hey, Molly, the gray looks good, doesn't it?
It
I
does.
don't believe you.
Look very handsome. Just like LeBron, getting better with age there. Is it a new barber, though?
Looks terrible.
Max? New barber?
That's a good question, Molly. That's a good question.
No. Oh, okay. Just checking. All right.
All right.
This is the haircut. It's a little shorter, then it grows in. I get it cut again. Why acting like it's something new?
That's how a haircut works. Thanks for explaining. All right. LeBron with a performance for the ages, becoming the third oldest player to ink a 40-point triple-double last night against the Bucks. Max, are you ready to admit that this is the best LeBron has ever played?
Much like explaining how a haircut works, I now have to explain how this works. No! I understand why people think this is the best LeBron has ever played, because when your eyes are on LeBron James, it's hard to imagine someone playing better than that. You know, it reminds me of the old Bob Gibson quote, Stephen A., the great Hall of Fame pitcher on the Cardinals. He was asked, what's the best catch you ever saw? And he said, the best catch is like the prettiest woman. The last great one you saw, that's the best one you ever saw. And that's LeBron James's career. Every year you're watching him, you think, wait, this must be the best he's ever played. Because you can't imagine a higher level. But I'm here to tell you there has been a higher level. It was Miami, his third season there, the second championship. He played lights out on offense, as he always does. But in addition to that, he played intense defense, wire to wire. That was prime LeBron James. This is an older, wiser LeBron James. This is a LeBron James who is incredibly great for his age. As I made the analogy earlier, another baseball one, Stephen A., it's like a rising fastball. A rising fastball doesn't actually go up. It just doesn't sink at the rate you're expecting because of the spin on the ball. And because of that, it appears to rise. That's LeBron James. His decline is so slight, practically imperceptible, and yet we see the years piling up. It feels like he's getting even better, but he's not.
Here's what I would tell you. If you want to say he's not getting better, then point to the fact that it's suspect interior defense in the NBA. The game is called considerably softer. The absence of contact that's allowed, or rather the level of contact that's allowed has significantly dissipated compared to years past, and because of that, that puts LeBron James in the in the enviable position of being able to attack the basket with relative impunity, because he doesn't have much to worry about. Because I mean, they'll call you for a foul for having bad breath, for counting out loud. We all know this, but in the end, you have to go through what your eyes are seeing. This is a cat that's 33 years of age. For some reason, where everybody else on the universe is getting worse with age, he gets better, it seems. Obviously, he's more intelligent of a basketball player with each passing year. I don't see a strong drop-off in terms of his athleticism, but his perimeter shooting, his three-point shooting, that really stands out in my mind. And when I see some of the post moves that he put forth last night, like I love the dream shake that he put on the Greek Freak last night, it was something special to behold. And I'm going to look at it from that perspective, and I'm going to say the arsenal that he is putting on display makes this, to me, or at least it just puts in my mind that he's looking better than he's ever looked, because he's not doing one or two things, pretty well. He's pretty much doing whatever is required. Outside, inside, driving to the basket, spot up shots, shots in the lane, back to the basket, facing the basket. Whatever the moment calls for, he seems more than equipped to embrace the challenge. And when we take that into consideration, along with the fact that in this day and age, the competition in the Eastern Conference has stiffened up to some degree compared to years past, and you still see you getting what you're getting from him without Kyrie Irving, for a large chunk without Kevin Love, with J.R. Smith looking non-existent. George Hill's just starting point guard. George Hill, you can't go 0 for 2, bro. Can't go 0 for 2 as a starting point guard in the NBA with LeBron and Kevin Love and these boys on the court. You've got to do something. Him and J.R. Smith have got to do something. I'm going to start asking that question again. Who the hell shot J.R.? Who shot J.R. from that Dallas sitcom from years ago? Who shot J.R. because his shot is nowhere to be found? It's like he's gotten shot, for crying out loud. Somebody needs to talk to this man. And at the end of the day, when you're LeBron James and you got all of that working against you, but you're still doing what you're doing, I got to give credit where credit is due.
There are three things I have to clean up right now, Stephen A. Okay. First of all, Dallas was not a sitcom, or that was Dynasty. Sorry, it was not a sitcom. It was a, what would you call it, a primetime soap opera?
Yeah, it's prime time. It's prime time. It's prime time. That's prime time. It wasn't a comedy.
Yeah,
my bad.
That's the most important thing, I think.
My bad.
But also, there are two things I want to comment about what you just said. One, this is one of LeBron James's, I don't know, 10 or dozen best seasons. Like, they're all like this. And in terms of the outside shot and everything, that third season in Miami, he was hitting the three at a very high clip, very similar to this year. He was posting up when he had to, but the big difference is you're only talking this year about one side of the floor. That third season in Miami, it was both sides of the floor. That's one. The next thing is this. James Harden and Russell Westbrook over the last couple seasons are putting up statistical years, the likes of which Kobe Bryant never put up. Does that mean that they're better than Kobe Bryant? No, of course not. They are benefiting from two things. One, they're great players, Harden and Westbrook. And two, the league allows for this now. You spoke about that earlier when you talked about the soft interior defense, but it's also the style of play. Westbrook and Harden are great players. Let me be very clear. Kobe Bryant was better, but the stats, at least the advanced stats, won't show it because the league has changed. So even if LeBron's advanced stats say on offense, only on offense, that he's as good offensively as he's ever been, that's not true because the league has changed. And then that doesn't even include his defense. Just keep in mind, all the guys who put up crazy numbers, almost all of them, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, and Oscar Robertson I brought up in that great year that everyone set all these records. Nowadays, Westbrook averaging a triple-double. Those kind of numbers are put up in leagues that allow for those kind of numbers. It doesn't mean... By the way, when LeBron was in his prime, was anyone else putting up numbers close to him? No, all of a sudden now you got 2-3 guys putting up very similar numbers to LeBron James. In Harden's case, you can argue better. Is Harden better than LeBron James? Guys, he is the benefit. LeBron appears to be as good or better than ever on one side of the floor because of that. But there are two sides of the floor. Well, and he's not the best he's ever been.
I'm glad to see that you remembered that because I brought that up about it in the past when you were raving about him, and I pointed out how Kawhi Leonard comes out from open and tap looking for the toughest defensive assignment, and you were just shoving that aside because LeBron James was sitting there and you know, he was all world. I'm talking about months ago. I'm not talking about now because we all know you changed.
I wasn't shoving anything aside.
I totally understand that. I get where you're coming from. But in the end, here's what it comes down to, Maximilian. Here's what it comes down to. You see, I have a purpose and a method to my madness. And here's what it is, Max Kellerman. If LeBron continues to look the way that he looks, looking as great as he has looked, going up against a stiffer Eastern Conference, combined with the fact that you're getting Kevin Love back and bringing these players along, and now that we've got the Tyronn Lue situation being addressed, all the stress seems to be dissipating and fading away, which means we won't have to hear any excuses if they can't get it done this year. What did you say? Ty, I'm looking at it.
Let's get it done.
Ty, I'm looking at it. I'm talking about, listen.
Let's get it done.
I'm talking about winning the chip, baby. That's why he's playing. That's why he's playing. That's why he's playing.
Yeah, hold
Let
on.
me tell you why. Let me tell you why this makes sense.
Winning
hold
the chip.
on. Stay with me. Stay with me. You have to remember, you'll agree with this position. Max Kellerman, don't make me pull out the tape on you, because I will. Max Kellerman said they won't beat Golden State, but they do have a chance to beat Houston. In the same breath, you're saying
I take it
Houston
back.
has a big chance to beat Golden State. So if Houston has a big chance to beat Golden State, and you've already conceded that Cleveland can beat Houston, particularly if LeBron was playing the way that he was playing, combined with the fact that he's got Kevin Love back and what have you, and he's the best player in the world. To me, what I love about all of this is that there's going to be no excuses for anybody. No excuses for Houston, no excuses for Golden State, no excuses for LeBron in Cleveland. I actually like this.
Well, let's put it this
way. Doesn't bother me.
Let's put it this way. You're right. There are no excuses in the sense that barring catastrophic injury in the playoffs, the best team will win. In that case, you're right. There are no excuses. When I said I thought Cleveland could beat Houston, not that they would beat, but that they could beat Houston, that was a different Cleveland team. The team has changed. We've seen what they're really about.
This was after the trade.
And I do not think they can beat Houston if Houston is healthy.
This was after the trade. This was after the trade you said that.
If it was after the, we'd have to go back and check. If it was after the trade, I assume it was after they stopped the Celtics
they went on a little winning streak.
And then beat the Thunder handily at OKC. Well, right. Well, let me say I think very differently about the Cavs since then, post-All-Star break. Now, it could be a function of Kevin Love. That's what I've maintained the whole time. LeBron can't play better than this at his age. Like, what? Who can play better than this? He's the best player in the league. LeBron, as I said, when your eyes are on him, you go, you can't play better than that. So it's not really about LeBron. It is about the supporting cast. And absent another all-star, enter Kevin Love, they don't have a chance. If Kevin Love can be something more like the Minnesota Kevin Love than he was as the worst version of the Kevin Love on Cleveland, then maybe they got a shot. We got to see what that looks like. It was promising last night, but that was against the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, I beat the Milwaukee Bucks twice last week. I mean, that's what happens when you play Milwaukee. The Greek Freak drops 72, and your team wins. So that's what happened with Cleveland.
All right, guys,
Wake me up when they beat a good team.
Let's move forward into that. So LeBron, obviously the first player in NBA history to record a 40-point triple-double in his 15th season. Stephen and Max, you both mentioned Kevin Love back on the court last night, scoring 18 in his return from a fractured hand. His first game since January 30th, and of course, they got the win. So, Stephen, I'll start with you on this. Did last night prove the Cavs will win the East?
Well, last night didn't prove it. I was saying they were going to win the East before Kevin Love returned, and I still feel that way. I don't think anybody's beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in the East. And if you recall, I've repeatedly said, I didn't even bring up the Cavs. I said the East is not beating LeBron. That's what I said. Specifically because LeBron, nobody's beating him the best 4 out of 7 in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, unless LeBron just doesn't want to lose another NBA Finals and record his 6th NBA Finals loss in his career. That's the only way that it's going to happen. There's 2 scenarios. You got that or, listen, here's the deal. In the Eastern Conference, LeBron can't get...
excuse.
No, LeBron can't get bounced out in the first round, and he can't get bounced out by Kyrie. Both of those storylines would be more disastrous, or I shouldn't even say the first round. Him losing to Kyrie Irving would be more disastrous, more problematic for him than losing a 6th NBA Finals, because you shouldn't have lost Kyrie. Outside of him losing to Kyrie Irving, okay, I can't see any scenario that would prevent LeBron James from coming out of the East other than a disinterest in losing a 6th NBA Finals. I don't see Toronto, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Washington, Indiana. Miami even. I don't see these teams beating LeBron James in a best 4 out of 7. I just don't see it.
All right, never mind what I was going to say, because I got to go at you for this.
Sure.
You just finished saying no excuses. You just finished saying no excuses. Now you got a prediction on the Cavs, but you built in an excuse in case they lose. Now you can say LeBron James didn't want to lose in the finals.
Hold it, Mr. Intellectual. Comprehend the words being elocuted out of my mouth. I am not going to make any excuses. I am not going to let anybody off the hook. I'm just telling you what I think the mindset could potentially be on their part. Stephen A. will be right here. I mean, Stephen A. will be right here.
All right, how does that work?
Hold on, let me give you the list. Let me give you the hit list. What I'm saying to you is this. I don't believe that he'll want to lose a 6th NBA Finals. But that doesn't mean that if he loses earlier than that, I'm going to let him off the hook. I'm just telling you what the thought process is. I ain't letting him off the hook. I ain't letting John Wall and the Wizards off the hook. I'm not letting DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry off the hook. I'm not letting Boston.
Good.
I might
You're
let off the hook a little bit because Gordon Hayward ain't there. Yeah.
That's what the fourth estate is supposed to do, right? You have to hold everyone accountable. But
Sure.
for some reason, you're conflating how good everyone is with some kind of moral issue. Like, some teams just aren't good enough. But I want to know how this works with LeBron. I want to know how this works. You mean to tell me because he doesn't want to lose in the finals, he's at some point not going to play as well as he can? Because you're saying, on the one hand, out of one side of your mouth, you're saying no team in the East could stop him. And on the other side, unless he doesn't really want to get past them. Well, how does that work? Lay that out for me. They're in the middle of a series and LeBron packs it in?
I can sit up there and play it out for you in simpler terms. There have been times throughout LeBron James' career where we've wondered about his psychological approach to things. We didn't question his game. We didn't question his abilities. We didn't question his greatness. We questioned his want-it factor. We questioned how bad he wanted it, not in terms of wins and losses, but also in terms of the level of competition that you were going up against. When he went to Miami, people lamented stuff because they felt like he was just stockpiling talent and jumping on bandwagons and what have you. And ultimately, we got distracted from that because Kevin Durant did the same thing in Golden State. And ultimately, Melo and Paul George joined OKC and Chris Paul joined Houston, et cetera, et cetera. So it sort of changed the landscape. But we look at dudes' psychological approaches all the time. We watched the Washington Wizards when John Wall was out and Gortat and Beal and others behind.
I've never seen that from LeBron, Stephen A.
You never
the
saw
only
what from
time
LeBron?
I've seen LeBron.
You never saw what from LeBron?
I'm saying psychologically, if you want to point to the first finals loss against Dallas in Miami,
Sure.
when LeBron choked in 4 fourth quarters by abdicating responsibility, getting rid of the ball.
Sure.
I'll give you that. Otherwise, I have not seen LeBron not show up in the finals.
No, I agree.
The man shows up in the finals in balls. He shows up in the playoffs in balls.
I agree with that. But the fact of the matter is, prior to that, there were times like when he lost to Boston, there were times when we wondered what the hell was going on with him because he seemed like a zombie out there that hadn't shown up. All I'm trying to say is it's been a long time, and nobody can accuse LeBron James of that in recent memory. But watching this game, we do pay attention to psychological situations that go on with players. Some cats show up and want it. Other cats show up and they don't seem to want it. And you pay attention to those kind of things. And I'm not absolving LeBron or anybody else from that.
James. I think LeBron James has put that Dallas series to rest.
I agree.
With finals performances where he lost in 6 games with no one on the team to Golden State and then beat Golden State with 2 of the greatest final series of all time, like 2 in the top 10
I have a question for you,
consecutive years. I think he put that to sleep. Here's the problem, Stephen A. The rest of the Cavs roster, if LeBron James, best player in the world, which he is, and Kevin Love can be an all-star caliber player, which
he is an all-star caliber player.
The rest of the roster, yeah, I'm saying but coming back off injury, if he can regain that and actually do more than he's done in the past, because he's now second banana, not third on this team. I'm looking at the rest of the roster. Stephen A. Smith, George Hill has been a starting point guard, but he's really a rotation piece at this point in his career. Same thing with Jordan Clarkson. J.R. Smith has been terrible this year. Larry Nance Jr. is an energizer bunny kind of guy, but not a great player. My point is, Rodney Hood is the one guy you look at, you go, maybe that's a starter. Maybe he has the potential to be something more, but he hasn't really shown that consistently yet. The rest of the team, you can't show me one surefire, that guy is a starter on a championship team. It ain't LeBron, it's the rest of the squad.
Well, again, Max Kellerman, earlier this season, when we watched the Cleveland Cavaliers, we didn't have a discussion about how LeBron looked a bit apathetic. We didn't have a discussion about how he looked a bit disinterested. There wasn't stuff going on before the trading deadline where everybody was basically writing his epitaph in Cleveland because folks thought this was the end because he just looks completely spent and disinterested and disgusted by the dysfunctional circumstances that was raking through that franchise like a virus. These are all the things we pointed to. All I'm trying to say is that this comes with the sport. So it's not beyond the realm of comprehension that if you look down the path and you feel like you got no shot going up against a juggernaut, that you know what, you might want to bow out early. I'm not talking about him as an individual. I'm talking about the reality of his circumstances because of what's surrounding him as far as his teammates are concerned. These are all things you have to pay attention to.
If he doesn't get out of the East If he doesn't get out of the East, it's because his team wasn't good enough. Not because he's trying to avoid Golden State or Houston. It's because they're not good enough. Because all that goes into how good you are.
You could say that, but I guess what I'm saying to you is that if, listen, here's the hypocrisy. I shouldn't say hypocrisy, but here's what's so questionable about your words. And put me up on this 3-screen, please, so I can see Max Kellerman's face when I say this. Max Kellerman is a boxing analyst extraordinaire for HBO, doing a fabulous job with all the perks that come with it, going to Spain and London and Monte Carlo and all of this other stuff with your boxing matches.
This weekend.
Max Kellerman, boxing is a pugilistic sport. You got to go up in there and fight.
Indeed.
How many times have I seen Max on television going like this? Dude, that sharp get the money. He had a job to do. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there. Max has said that on many occasions.
Stephen A.
Wait a minute. What I'm saying to you is this. Basketball ain't a one-on-one sport per se. But you can get your behind waxed as an individual when you step out on the court and a brother give it to you. Let's be clear about that. That can happen.
Let's see. This is what this is really about. You want to know the big lesson about the Cavs this year? And it started in the preseason. This is what Jerry Buss, the greatest owner ever in the history of sports, told Kobe Bryant when Kobe wanted to be traded. He said, Kobe, if I have a 5-carat diamond, I'm not trading it for 5 1-carat diamonds. That's what the Cavs did. They had a 5-carat diamond. They didn't get a 5-carat diamond back, and now they may not get out of the East.
All right, keep the 5 carats. We're leaving it there, gentlemen. We got big news about Trae Young's basketball future. Find out about what Max and Stephen A. have to say about Young's decision to stay in school or jump to the NBA. And you can include Draymond Green to the list of injured Warrior stars, but are the injuries actually a good thing for Golden State? First Take, just getting started.
Patrick woke up with